Like and subscribe right now, or this spider will crawl on your face when you're sleeping. From the beginning of time, human progress has been driven by our need to understand how and why things happen. We think we've got history figured out, and we also like to think we're pretty good at solving mysteries. But things get dicey when you combine the two. It turns out history is loaded with tons of creepy mysteries. Some of them are so mysterious that they need to be solved. From Atlantis to the pyramids, here are 10 amazing world mysteries that need answers. Number 10. Yonaguni Monument. Beneath the coastal waters of the Japanese island of Yonaguni lies a series of mysterious rock formations. Since its discovery nearly 35 years ago, the strangely symmetrical shapes and structures of the Yonaguni Monument have led to fierce debate over its true origins. Could the odd shapes of this structure really have been carved by a lost Japanese civilization many thousands of years ago? Or is it just a stunning example of natural geology deep beneath the sea? Called the Japanese Atlantis, it is assumed by geologists that this was a whole city that was sunk by a huge earthquake some 2,000 years ago. Nearby are other formations also found, suggesting it's a submerged ancient city. This theory contends that the structures are at least 5,000 years old and belong to a lost civilization, possibly the legendary Mu or Lemuria. But nothing has been confirmed. What do you think it is?
Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and you'll get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it. It really works.
Number 9. The NASCA Lines. Peru is filled with mysteries, but this one has surprised scientists the most over the years. If you ever fly over the high desert of southern Peru in a plane, you'll witness the landscape change as lines take shape to form simple geometric designs like trapezoids, straight lines, rectangles, triangles, and swirls. Some of the swirls and zigzags start to form more distinct shapes like a hummingbird, a spider, and a monkey. These are the renowned NASCA lines, which is the subject of a great mystery for over 80 years. How were they formed? What purpose could they have served? And were aliens involved? No one knows the answer to these questions. In total, there are over 800 straight lines, 300 geometric figures, and 70 animal and plant designs, also called biomorphs. Some of the straight lines run up to 30 miles, while the biomorphs range from 15 to 365 meters in length. For context, that is as large as the Empire State Building. Number 8. The Case of Amelia Earhart. In the 1930s, Amelia Earhart was one of the most famous women in the world. She was a best-selling author, feminist hero, a faculty member of Purdue University, and friend of First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. Her flying prowess made her a role model for many women. Earhart was intent on making a trip circling the globe, covering more than 30,000 miles, but never was seen again after her takeoff. After Earhart vanished, the United States government conducted its largest ever search for a lost aircraft, but turned up empty-handed. While she was officially declared dead 2 years later, that has not stopped speculations about Earhart's fate. Depending on which theory you believe, Earhart might have crashed and died right then, or died years later in captivity, or lived into her late 70s as a New Jersey housewife. We'll probably never know what happened to her. Number 7. LONGYOU Caves. Our ancestors have left us a lot of cool stuff without any explanation, like the famous pyramids or the underwater cities. This still also includes the LONGYOU Caves, which can be found in the village of Xi'an deep in the Zhejiang province of China. These caves were left undiscovered for millennia until one local man decided to test the validity of the local legend. After drilling for 17 days, the man and the world discovered expansive hand-dug caves under the water of the town's ponds. After the first discovery in 1992, a total of 36 grottos have been discovered, equating to about 30,000 square meters of hand-dug caverns. While these caverns represent one of the largest ancient excavation projects in history, their origin has absolutely no documentation, leading to the great mystery. The caves are huge in size, and it's hard to even comprehend how someone was able to come up with the design and structure of these caves. Number 6. The PIRI REIS map. Late in 1929, Gustav Deissmann, a German theologian, found a map that had been drawn and signed in 1513 by Turkish cartographer Haji Ahmed Muhaddin PIRI, also known as the PIRI REIS. In addition to being a cartographer, PIRI REIS served in the Turkish Navy, for which he held the rank of admiral. The map appears to show Antarctica almost 300 years before it was discovered. Not only does it show Antarctica, but the continent is drawn as a landmass, as it would have appeared before it was covered with its ice cap over 6,000 years ago. Geologists studied the PIRI REIS map and found several things that they could not explain. Not only was there the issue of Antarctica without its ice cap, but they noticed that the map was drawn using the Mercator projection, a methodology not used by European cartographers until the late 16th century. The jury is still out on the question of whether the PIRI REIS map shows Antarctica or not. Number 5. The Giza Pyramids. Here's one mysterious thing that you probably know about. Built to endure an eternity, the pyramids have done just that. The monumental tombs are relics of Egypt's Old Kingdom era and were constructed some 4,500 years ago. The first pyramid was built in 2550 BC, and this Great Pyramid is the largest in Giza and is around 146 meters. It is estimated to be made up of 2.3 million stone blocks, and they each weigh an average of 2.5 to 15 tons. Tomb art includes depictions of ancient farmers working their fields and tending livestock, fishing and fowling, carpentry, costumes, religious rituals, and burial practices. Inscriptions and texts also allow research into Egyptian grammar and language. It is still not known how and why the ancient people built these pyramids, from where they got the technology to build something so huge and magnificent. All of these questions need to be answered ASAP. Number 4. MADOL. Aside from Easter Island, MADOL is the main archaeological site in Oceania that is made up of huge rocks. But while Easter Island gets 50,000 visitors a year, MADOL sees fewer than 1,000. Abandoned centuries ago, and now mostly covered with jungle, this mysterious ancient city is built on a reef just off the shore of Pohnpei Island. The buildings of this city do not have their foundations in the ground, but rather are built on top of man-made platforms of stone and coral. Given its beauty, the numerous waterways between islets, and its sheltered position in a lagoon, MADOL is nicknamed the Venice of the Pacific. Archaeologists sometimes refer to it as the mythical Atlantis, and this is where the mystery has its beginnings. The structures on this island are built using colossal stones that look as though giants must have laid them. The place has many legends, dating back centuries, including dragons and sorcerers. Number 3. The story of Jean Hilliard. When you Google the small town of Langby, there's pretty much just one result that pops up, something that happened almost 40 years ago. The accounts online call it a miracle. On the night of December 20th, 1980, 19-year-old Jean Hilliard's car hit a ditch. She knew a guy down the road, so she started walking. It was 20 below that night, and she was wearing cowboy boots. 2 miles later, she finally saw her friend's house through the trees. Then, according to her, everything went black. She'd made it to her friend's yard, tripped, and crawled on her hands and knees to his doorstep. They said she lay there for 6 straight hours, with her eyes frozen wide open. Her friend found her in the morning, frozen to death. Well, almost. Doctors at the Boston Hospital did not have high hopes for Hilliard. They couldn't even get an IV into her frozen arm, as they kept breaking needles. They figured she was mostly dead already, but decided to warm her up anyway with heating pads. By mid-morning, Hilliard woke in spasms. By noon, she was talking coherently. In a handful of hours, she'd gone from a block of ice to a scared teenager, worrying about her dad finding out his car was in the ditch. And with that, it's now time for today's subscriber pick. Today's photo was sent to us by a subscriber. If you come across a photo online and want to know more details about it, just send it over to us. We might even feature it in a future video. Number 2. Amazon Geoglyphs. Humans had been manipulating the landscape for thousands of years before the British started getting obsessed with colonization. The Amazon rainforest has long been thought of as a pristine ecosystem that was untouched by humans before the Europeans arrived. But new research shows that people manipulated the landscape centuries before their arrival. Modern deforestation in the Amazon led to the discovery of more than 450 geometrically shaped ditches, known as geoglyphs, which occupy roughly 4,000 square meters in the acre state of Brazil and are each 4 meters deep. These circular geoglyphs went unnoticed for centuries because they were covered by trees. Researchers say they aren't certain what function the geoglyphs served. Scientists believe the geoglyphs were created by Amazonian indigenous tribes between 1000 BC and 1000 CE. Number 1. D.B. Cooper. D.B. who? Exactly. Although the saga of a bold air pirate known to the media as D.B. Cooper may not be familiar to most young people, but the aviation industry, the residents of Ariel, Washington, and the FBI will never forget Thanksgiving Eve, 1971. That was the day when the gentleman skyjacked Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305 bound for Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. Cooper disclosed to a flight attendant that he was in possession of explosives and demanded $200,000 for parachutes and a refueling truck upon landing at SeaTac. Once the plane landed at SeaTac, the ransom payout and parachutes were handed over, and Cooper released Flight 305's passengers. The refueling process began, at which point Cooper revealed to the plane's pilot and a handful of other crew members his desired destination, which was Mexico City. About 30 minutes after the flight departed at 7:40 p.m., Cooper, wearing a parachute and in possession of the ransom money, jumped from the plane's aft air stair at 3,000 meters and into the night. To this day, the identity of D.B. Cooper remains a mystery, and it's unclear if he even survived the jump. No one has found out how he pulled it off. Or did he? We might never know. Which one of these mysteries do you have answers for? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.